Good morning. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Larry. And today we're going to talk about something that's happening to all of us, and that's to all seniors everywhere just about, and that's called discrimination. We are discriminated against because of our age, and it happens to all of us in one form or another. Sometimes it's good, but most of the time it happens in a bad way. But before I get started, I want to ask you, do you consider, depending on your age now, do you consider yourself a senior citizen? Why or why not? Why or why not? I personally don't consider myself a senior citizen quite yet, but I'm definitely knocking on the door. I have a friend of mine who's he's about 3 years older than me. I'm 71, and he says when I hit 75, then I'll be elderly. I said, well, I don't know if I like that term either, but senior citizens do get discriminated against quite a bit, and it has a name. It has a name these days. It's called ageism. Ageism. And it's a form of discrimination. And we're going to talk about some of these today, the way we're discriminated against. If we don't touch on something that you have found or it's happened to you, please comment. Let me know in the comments so we can all gain some knowledge from this. I've seen it. Sometimes in restaurants we get a lower quality service because, by and large, older people, I'm going to say mature. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to say senior citizens or elderly. I'm going to say mature people are kind of looked down upon by a lot of servers. Some of it probably for good reason because they're low tippers. For example, a friend of mine, he does some carpet cleaning, and he had posted something on Facebook the other day that he did this. I think his words were elderly couples house. They cleaned their carpets, and it's probably, I'm guessing, he didn't say, but I'm guessing it was generally $100 job. And they tipped him $5 and thought they were doing real good. He kind of made fun of the fact that they tipped $5, whereas $5, that's not much of a tip these days for something like that. But but it happened to him, and he got a chuckle out of it. But that's all right. Sometimes older workers are passed over in jobs, passed over at work even. If some of you are still working, passed over at work because of your age. Now, my wife worked first 3 years of our marriage full-time when I was in college. And then she worked part-time off and on over the years. And then when she turned 60, of course, we were empty nesters by then, by a long way. She went back to work. She was a worker bee, what I call a worker bee in a local laboratory. She was not a science person, but she did all the things that other people didn't want to do. And she was kind of nervous about the whole thing. I said, look, darling, just show up on time, do your job, don't complain, do a little bit more than your job, don't miss work. I said, girl, you won't be a star, you'll be a superstar. And she was there about, I don't know, a month or two. And she said, you're absolutely right. These people miss work all the time, and they're late, and blah, blah, blah. And they loved her. There's some advantages to having some older employees, but I know that in the workplace and normal jobs, a lot of times older workers get passed over for a lot of things. Doctors are really bad at this. A lot of doctors that we go see, they expect you to be frail just because you're old. They expect you to be forgetful. They expect you to be out of shape. Well, I had something happen to me recently. I think I've mentioned it in one of my other videos, but I'll mention it again. I have rheumatoid arthritis. It's in total remission. I'm in pretty good shape for the shape I'm in. Hit the gym 4 times a week. And so I'm pretty, for my age, I'm in pretty good shape. I know very few people my age are in the shape I'm in. So, but my old rheumatologist, she retired, so I went to this new guy who was her replacement. And he had never laid eyes on me, and I never laid eyes on him. So I was in the room, and of course they do all the preliminary stuff, and he walks in, and he was not expecting me. I guess he was expecting some frail old man. Let's see, 71 years old. He's got rheumatoid arthritis. He's old, probably in bad shape. And he examined me, and we talked, and he was real impressed. He said, I don't know what you're doing. He didn't ask me what I was doing. He said, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever it is, keep doing it, and you should be good to go. But he's turned to leave the room, and he stopped for a minute. He says, he said, when I walked in here, I did not expect to see you. He said, you got to be one of my healthiest patients I've seen. Because an office like that, everybody that walks in is in intense pain generally, including myself at one time. So I'm kind of like a success story for them, but that's another story I've already gotten into. But doctors, they discriminate also. They just see an old person and they have certain conceptions in their mind about it. A lot of people look for part-time jobs as they get older. I know a lot of you work part-time, and that's fine. I would if I could, but I can't because the skills I have, I just can't do it anymore. But it has crossed my mind to work part-time somewhere, and I've got a Home Depot, and I know everybody over there. I've got a Home Depot a mile from my house, literally, and I could probably get a job there if I wanted to, but I'm not there yet. I don't think I ever will be, but who knows? But a lot of people are passed over on job applications. They won't tell you why, and the main reason why you're discriminated against is because it's hard to prove. They know it's almost impossible to prove age discrimination, so they just pass over you. A lot of people, when they get older, they get denied for loans. Now, their credit could be good. They could have some money. They could have some assets, but they still get denied for loans. I remember my parents at one time. They retired. He worked at Generous Motors. They retired, moved to Kentucky, and lived on a lake down there for about 3 years. And they moved back. They didn't like it down there. They ended up not liking it down there. They moved back and they went to buy a house. Now, they didn't have cash to buy a house, so they had to get a loan, at least a partial loan. They never did fill me on any details. None of my business. But all I can remember is him saying it was hard for them to get a loan because they are already at retirement age. But they both drew Social Security, and he had a nice General Motors pension, so they eventually got the loan. But I know these days, a lot of times, that you're denied loans because of your age. And I don't think that's necessarily good, but that is definitely a form of discrimination. You especially see this portrayed in the media. Frail, forgetful, all the negatives you see about older people in any kind of media, any kind of TV show or movie. Generally, they're looked down upon. Actually, you never see the older wise person or the older productive person. You rarely see that, and that's kind of a form of we're putting in the minds of millions of people every year. This is the way older people are. Well, not everybody's like that. Not everybody's like it. I know I'm not like that. I may be that way one of these days, but not quite yet. Another place we're discriminated against is the nursing homes, care homes, as they're called now. But we have a lot of really nice, I mean, beautiful and very expensive nursing homes these days. Well, I call nursing homes, they're called care homes. But I've also seen a time where I've been in nursing homes where calling on someone or visiting someone because the family asked me to, and it was sad. I mean, it was just sad. It smelled bad. It looked bad. These are all old people, and it just broke my heart. And there was nothing I could do about them. But we're discriminated against there sometimes. So these are just some of the ways. I'd love to hear some of the ways that you see it. One of the things that gets me about every day of my life, when some sweet young thing will call me, "Hey, sweetie," or "honey," or something like that, just makes me giggle a little bit, thinking, "Oh yeah, she thinks I'm ancient. That's okay. I can live with it." But anyway, if you get anything like this out of this, like, share, subscribe. Until we meet again, I'm going to continue to press on towards that goal.